Humanity has established a thriving colony on Mars.
All the cold breath of death,
Deep waters lurking on the desolate surface of Mars.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Because your life is almost over.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Deep waters lurking on the desolate surface of Mars. A cosmic thriller that blurs the line between science and fiction.
Did something happen last week? Whatever. I guess we'll have to dig a little deeper to find some toys to talk about. Because I'm Robo. This here's the Rewind. Kicking off yet another episode with the Yolopark Transformers AMK Pro Series Generation 1 model kits. I was able to run by their booth at New York Toy Fair to get some clarification and to see something new. One, those stripped down Megatron and Optimus Prime kits we've been talking about for several weeks now, those will be kicking off a new series called Yolopark Transformers AMK Series Generation 1 model kits. No Pro in that title. That's now reserved for the kits that have all the bells and whistles, the die cast, the extra paint hits, the extra accessories, the electronics. But then here's where it gets tricky. They also had a clean AMK Series Starscream on display at the booth, along with Bumblebee. Now the Pro Series Starscream has been out for several months, unless you ordered on Big Bad Toy Store. That just came into stock this week, so mine shipped. Woo-hoo-hoo. So it makes sense to give Starscream a non-Pro release, but Bumblebee will be making his debut in the AMK series, and then the Pro series later in the year. So decisions need to be made. Since my Starscream was shipping, I went ahead and grabbed that Hasbro Asia Optimus Prime and Megatron. I had to know. I had to. I want to build those up, compare them to what I have, and go from there. But now everything's happening so fast all of a sudden. I was at a crossroads, and now there's this, and this, and this. I think Bumblebee coming out first in the AMK series is gonna be the determining factor, because I can have Bumblebee now. But will he look sweeter with the paint scuffs and kind of that war-torn look? And the die-cast and the electronics? Like we've talked about, it's the same size, the same scale, the same articulation, just less fanciness. And different price points, which is important because we need to talk about this big-ass dragon from Four Horsemen. The Mythic Legion's Baethier crowdfund starts today, but not as I'm recording this. It's Friday morning in my time. As you're watching this, it's already started, so maybe it's doing well, maybe it's not, maybe it needs more. Had those kind of powers, I'd be at the casino. Like I said last week, the wife committed to this when she saw the pictures from Legion's Con. So I've just been kind of waiting around going, who do I give this money to? Because look at this thing. It is absolutely beautiful. And I've seen it in person. It's breathtaking. You just kind of sit and stare for a while. Like, yo, that's a big dragon. The Horsemen team did a live stream last night laying out all the stretch goals and the add-on sets, and it gets pricey, but there is options. The base price of the dragon is $550 plus tax and shipping. The goal to get produced is 2,000 units. If they reach 2,500 units sold, they add Sir Benegard to the package because, well, love is a battlefield. At 3,000 units, Benegard gets an upgrade set with all kinds of goodies to add on and switch out parts. And that'll be a heartbreaker if it doesn't reach that. At 3,500 units, they add the Ashen Skeleton to the pot. And then at 4,000 units, it gets some extras. And those two figures don't add anything to the cost. The base price of $550 gets you the Dragon, Sir Benegard, and the Ashen Skeleton. But then there's add-on sets for the Dragon, and those are essentially crowdfunds themselves. The Fiery Breath add-on set is $150 with a goal of 1,000 units sold. But it is more than I originally thought it would be. We knew about the head with the jaw that stays open for the flame. While the base dragon does have an articulated jaw, I guess they didn't want to mess with the inside sculpt of that, or the stability, because the fiery add-on set also comes with a neck that kind of stretches out. That is awesome looking, but man, I think I'm in for the fiery set because of the Burning Knight. It's medieval Johnny Storm. It's just too cool. The add-on set also has a stretch goal. If there's 1,250 units sold, the Burning Knight gets a whole lot of extras. Unmasked head, unfired gloves and boots, just changing up the look. The Epic Wings add-on set is the same deal. $150, goal of 1,000 units sold. But it's not just the outstretched wings, it's also an Ashen Zombie. And then at 1,250 units sold, the Ashen Zombie gets extras. So there's a lot going on to this whole crowdfund. If you're all in, it's $850, and that is a chunk of change, especially since shipping is up in the air. Big old box, it's a big old dragon. You get all the add-ons, the wings. The outstretched wings are huge. So yeah, decisions must be made. I showed all this to my wife last night, and she said, well, that was just the initial seeing the pictures, and it's a dragon, it's amazing, it's been months ago, I've had time to think about it. And I'm like, too late, you're in. And now you know how my life is every single day. These toy companies showing all this cool shit, and I'm just, do I get this? Do I skip on this? Can I afford this? Is it going to go over here? Where's the space? So after showing her the pictures and getting hyped again, because that's what we do, toy collectors just, oh, I don't need that, but, oh, so-and-so has it though, and look at the new pictures, maybe I need it. So we are in for the dragon, and hopefully that gets the extra figures, hopefully it gets funded that far, and then the fire set, because that looks amazing. We're going to clear off the dining room table. It's going to be the centerpiece, and the dragon can be sitting and then fire shooting out. We're going to skip on the wings because that goes the opposite direction. Dining room table is long. Put the dragon like this with the fire, and then if you sit on these sides, the wings would be kind of in your face, dodging stuff while trying to eat. So that's how we justified it. And that's not even all from the Four Horsemen. At ZoloCon over the weekend, they also debuted their 2025 con exclusive, the legendary Barbarian. It's rough and tumble, it's definitely its own thing, but if you look, kind of like glance, there's some He-Man vibes, and I think that's what sells me on this. No, don't get me wrong, it's a Barbarian, it looks cool. I'd probably pick it up anyway, but at the same time, it would be hard not to put it with the other tribute figures. In fact, it goes a couple of ways. Put on the brown hair, you have the Wonder Bread connection. I guess the black hair would be, well, no, is there a He-Man variant with black hair? So much Masters of the Universe. But this isn't Masters of the Universe, this is Mythic Legions. This is a Barbarian, look at it. Oh, wait. Then you get down to the sword and the shield and the axe, and that's even more. Well, it's also just Barbarian. I can separate, especially if you put the helmeted, huge bearded head on there. They're your toys, play with them, however you choose. I mentioned Legions Con, that is where I first saw Space Zombies from Mars. We also talked a lot about crowdfunding. This is now live on Kickstarter. Now there's a story here, you go to each character and there's a bio and what they do and everything, but you can break it down to just astronauts going to Mars. Oh no, they're zombies. And the figures themselves follow those same guidelines. It's a couple of base bodies, switch it around with new legs, new arms. I did that backwards, but you're used to that by now. Hey, I'm Robo. Here's the rewind. New heads, new colors, change it out, boom, toy line. And if that or the style seems familiar, these are from Arlen Pelletier, who also did the sculpting for Big Bad Workshop's Naughty or Nice collection. And that's base body, changed up, you get a lot of cool looking Santas. Same thing here. Base body, astronauts, zombies, you get a bunch of cool looking figures. The campaign starts with a couple of mains and a few zombies and builds from there with stretch goals, along with extras like hands and heads that'll go back and add to those initial tiers. So go over, click the link in the description, check it out, see what's going on. Touching on some things that I saw at Toy Fair, I spied with my little eyes a comic book crow at the Trick or Treat Studios booth. Sure, the first thing that most of y'all are going to notice is that it's not super articulated. In fact, as soon as I saw it, well, my initial reaction was, comic book crow, that looks cool. What kind of articulation? okay, that's that. What it comes down to is I'm just so happy to see this version that I'm okay with a bit of limitation when it comes to movement. Just because I just want a comic book Crow that looks like this. Plus, Trick or Treat isn't known for that. They take a classic type style and kind of modernize it, but not all the way to hyper, super, mega articulation. It gets the basics, it goes from there. And, again, it's the Crow. I need it. I got the impression that this may take a while to actually get out there, but hey, I'm right here, waiting, hoping. Gimme. Same goes for the Trick or Treat Studios RoboCop line. I was told that this is 6.75 inch scale, and they chose that because somebody is already doing 7 inch. Well, it's NECA, right? And somebody is already doing 6, so they were able to choose something in between. And some licenses go like that. So, hey, you want to make RoboCop toys? Find something that someone else isn't already making. And hey, if it gets a Boddicker out there, I'm all for it. Dumbass! Again, you'll notice the articulation and the style. I think they're going for that 80s toy aesthetic and building from there. Just adding a couple of joints, let it move. But mostly, it's just going to stand on the shelf. Again, let's see what happens in the future. I was able to sneak into the Jazwares Collector event, thank you very much, Pixel Dan, and after a bit of looking, I found 6-inch Fortnite figures. The rumors were true, but it isn't great news. Hell, I was so excited I didn't even focus on a couple of these pictures. And at the same time, there wasn't a lot to take pictures of. They danced around the licensing thing a bit, but what it comes down to is that they're offering retailers reissues of older figures. These all already came out at one point, but the retailer response isn't that great. Now, in my brain, as just an asshole who talks about toys on the internet, I thought, well, maybe if you did some new sculpts, offer something new, retailers may be a bit more excited. But then again, retailers did sit on some stock from both Jazwares and Hasbro. So maybe it's just them going, we don't need Fortnite, no thank you. But the hope is there. Something may happen in the future. Maybe. Who knows? The Jazwares Total anime line seems to be alive and kicking, though, at least when it comes to My Hero Academia, the only property I semi-know or care about. It seems the early offerings from this series was scattered around, like just throwing stuff out, see what sticks. And judging from the display, My Hero stuck. The only one that I've seen out and about is Midoriya from very early in the series. It seems they're going to go back and do a Bakugo to match up with him. If this isn't already released, I haven't been keeping track of the line, and Kachan only had the in-box. As far as loose figures that seemed very, very new, they jumped ahead in the timeline. Todoroki, Shigaraki, and another Midoriya are their Season 7 looks. So, again, it's back and forth. Are they going to do early looks? Although I will say, Todoroki isn't that much different. He's got some bands, he's got some metal. Shigaraki is quite a bit different. And then Midoriya is the vigilante suit, is that what it's called? With the mask, which changes that up from the SH Figuarts Season 7 Midoriya, I think. Was there an add-on set for that? All over the place. But, hey, there's more coming. I also got to run around the McFarlane Toys booth for a little while, and they had some new DC Multiverse on display. Yes, the DC license is going back to Mattel, but nobody was going to give any straight answers about that. In fact, I saw some videos and interviews and everything where there's conflicting reports. Yeah, we have this and that, we're going to keep part of the license, this, that. All I know is that doesn't happen for about a year from now. So McFarlane Toys is just going to keep pumping. They're going to make hay while the sun shines. Like getting out another classic style Superman, which I will admit looks very, very good, but still not my perfect mind's. It seems like they're creeping towards that. Like, here's another Superman. It's lighter blue. It's got the symbol on the cape. He's a bit more hopeful, but not quite. Commissioner Gordon may be a lot of reuse from Constantine, but that's okay. It's dudes in suits with a trench coat. At least they changed out the left knee to patch up that hole that Constantine has. This, I forgot the name of this Batman armor, but it's pretty snazzy in the whites and golds. Hey, if you're looking for expertise or people that know things, it's a big old YouTube. There's a Connor Hawk Green Arrow on the way. That's nifty. When we got the classic Hawkman, I wasn't sure we were going to get a classic Hawk Girl, but this happens every time I make assumptions like that. Here's Hawk Girl. I really like this Hour Man. Who thought we were going to get a McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Hour Man? I mean, come on. Damage I figured was a bit more possible because of the skin-tight costume. It's dude in spandex. Still, Damage. I love Starman's design, that galaxy field on the body with the white gloves and boots and the eyes peering out from space. And I want to love this, but man, the texture on the suit kind of throws me off. There's plain bodies to be used here, right? Unless this is a different version of Starman where he was actually wearing a costume with a star field on it. I don't know. For page punches, the JSA flavor continues with Kingdom Come Superman. I think it's Kingdom Come Superman. It's very similar, right? Is it? Did he come back? He did come back for JSA, didn't he? There's also this Supergirl, which, again, looks great. I didn't figure there'd be a Supergirl anytime soon, but bam, here we are. Then there was the Rainbow Batmans, or at least the start of the Rainbow Batmans, and should have saw this coming, right? It's a repaint of a basic Batman body. Now all I can hope for is that they finish this cover. We get orange, we get purple, still need red, yellow, green, and blue. I was told that the classic Batman in blue and gray with Ace the Bat Hound that's already out does not count towards this cover. That cover looks like blue and gray, but I'm hoping the figure will be dark blue and light blue for the bodysuit. And that'll fit right with the rest of them, and that's a hell of a display. A few items back, we discussed lighter articulation schemes when it comes to vintage-inspired figures, and the new McFarlane Toys DC Retro Super Friends line is exactly that. But it's absolutely no surprise because that's exactly what we've been seeing with the DC Retro Batman 66 and New Adventures of Batman. And this shares parts with those. That tells you exactly what to expect. Around 6 inches tall, but very basic joints. Again, if this was any other line, I'd probably be, no thanks. I'll pass on those. But man, I have a lot of Batman 66. I have some New Adventures of Batman. I really want Super Friends, and this whole aesthetic just works. Except for the lack of ankles. But, hey, I just stick them up on the shelf. They stand there. Getting Batman and Luthor and Sinestro and Green Lantern and Riddler in this format, in the Super Friends style, okay. That's just a nostalgia tug I've been waiting for. And I didn't forget about you, Super Enemies Batman, because, the others are cool, but let's finish this team. Like the Rainbow Batmans a minute ago, these will just find their own place on the shelf. I need all of them. Well, I hope that for the whole cartoon cast, but the Super Enemies? Man! Superman with heavy eyeliner, eye patch Aquaman, slightly aged Wonder Woman, Robin with a mustache? Now that's evil. That's diabolical. A full display of that would absolutely make my day. McFarlane Toys has had the Mortal Kombat license for a while now, but we haven't heard anything. There hasn't been a lot of news. So why not roll out Mortal Kombat Classics this year? There was no photography allowed, even though IGN showed the digital renders a couple of days before, but then Todd came along and said,
"Okay, everybody, this is Todd McFarlane here. I'm going to show you a couple things that they didn't want me to show you, but what the hell, it's my company because nobody is allowed to take any photography. We got no photography, but I'm going to show you some photography. Why? Because we're McFarlane Toys and I'm McFarlane. We've got the Mortal Kombat Classic figures coming here. We got Sub-Zero, going all the way back to Classic, right? Having a little bit of fun with the packaging. And then we got Scorpion, right? They're going to be fully articulated, going to be able to do some super cool stuff with them. Got Liu Kang. You're looking super good. We got Melina pending approval. No photography. I'm not taking any photography. Melina back here, and we got Ray Dawn back there. So these are the 5 we're going to be coming out with from the Classic series. Who doesn't want the originals? Right? Don't tell anybody I showed this to you here, though.
That's way better than what I could have done or described. For something brand spanking new from McFarlane Toys, they announced they will be doing IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Friday was weird. I got on a plane that morning, just, okay, heading to Toy Fair. I got off the plane Friday afternoon to Mattel taking DC back, and McFarlane Toys doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was... There were no photos allowed here either, but again, IGN posted early digital renders of Leo, and this is pretty much what we saw, although cleaner. In the diorama, Leo and the rest all seemed grungier, dirtier, in that dark and gritty type way. Like, it had these details, the spots, the colors, but then there was a wash applied over the whole thing. Not in a bad way, not just caked in oil or anything like that, but just enhanced a bit. Another thing I noticed is that all 4 turtles have unique sculpts. That it's not just a shared body between the 4 of them, which is needed for IDW, so that was good to see. The Foot Soldier, Shredder, Bebop, and especially Rocksteady all looked fantastic. If I remember right, the human types did seem slightly thin, but again, it's that IDW style. I was a bit worried about scale after seeing the digital render and then the initial reaction of the diorama in the booth, but I was told that the turtles are around 5 inches tall and the humans are 6 inch, and then Bebop and Rocksteady slightly larger. The diorama was dark and the prototypes were glued down, so we couldn't just grab and put them side by side with each other and go, oh, okay, that's bigger. But they seemed 6 inch scale-ish. Not the McFarlane 7 inch. I'm fairly happy with the TMNT teams I already have from various companies. In fact, I've been skipping on teams from those various companies because this is what I got. But a nice looking IDW team, and as good as Rocksteady and Bebop looked, yeah, we'll see. While we're in that universe, remember me rambling on and on last week about the Super 7 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimates Wave 13 tease, and whether it would be shown at Toy Fair or the day the video went up, or this. It was before I even got off the plane. But that's the way it usually goes, right? If I'm not already behind, then it's just not the rewind. It's exactly what we expected, though. The 2003 versions of Casey Jones, Shredder, the Foot Ninja, and Splinter. But we mostly knew that because they were silhouetted at San Diego Comic-Con last year, and those silhouettes are fairly obvious, fairly unique. Plus, they offered up the 2003 Turtles. They got to add to that team. So, man. New source material, new articulation scheme. If you've been waiting to jump into an Ultimates TMNT line, this may be it. If you're into 2003. I don't really have a lot of attachment to 2003. In fact, it's the one I know the least about for some reason. It just kind of falls in between. But if you have been waiting for 2003 Turtles or Super 7 to update their joints, since we snuck out a Toy Fair for that, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the Bandai SH Figuarts Marvel Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Miles G. Morales Prowler before going back to the show. I finally watched this movie, yes, and it was great. Saying that, I don't remember this Miles appearing for that. It was just at the end, right? And this is the second figure we've got? But I'm not complaining because it looks kick-ass. A lithe, more agile Prowler with the big old claws that are swappable with some arms that are thin, but again, it's the Across the Spider-Verse. It's that look, it's that style, it's that aesthetic. Extra heads, accessories, hands, everything you expect from Bandai. And more than that, though, I like the look of this more than other SH Figuarts Across the Spider-Verse offerings. Oh, it's definitely SHF, but it doesn't have those exaggerated textures and everything that we usually see. But they're also not trying to spruce up a skin-tight suit. I passed on the Marvel Legends. Do I need this? Now that I've seen Across the Spider-Verse and like that version of Spot now, I don't have a Spot yet, and I don't have this, and I don't have India, I don't even have a 2099. Yeah, decisions must be made. I know I keep saying that, but there's a lot. And a lot means a lot of money. Marvel brings us to Hasbro again. And with all the fan streams and random drops we've been seeing, I didn't expect much to happen with Marvel Legends, but there were a couple of reveals. And only one was actually at Toy Fair. That was the X-Force Archangel. Ooh, I like this one. I've read some X-Force, but more than that, the black and silvers or the black and grays, depending on the character, it just pops. Plus, this works towards a team that they seem to be mad dashing. Archangel this week, Warpath and X-23 2-pack next week. At the show, they had Warren with his open mouth screaming head. but that blue skin tone just pops against the black and the silvers. And Archangel being Archangel, I usually don't go for screaming faces unless it shows their power, like screaming or fangs or something. I may not display them with the wide open screaming face, but I'm going to swap it on there more than a few times just to give myself options and to make those decisions. But it's the wings that steal the show. Yes, that causes the butterfly joints to disappear because they have to plug into the back. Plastic on plastic violence doesn't always work, but man, they look good. More than that, I don't have to get the Marvel Select to steal its wings to put on an Archangel. Here they are. That flat kind of look along with the effect piece with the shooting out parts. Okay. The other reveal was Daredevil from Born Again, and I guess they had to wait for the show to actually start because this wasn't until... Well, okay, was Toy Fair still going Tuesday? I wasn't there. I left Monday morning. But still, Daredevil. The costume looks good. The colors pop. They're brighter than the dark red that we already have in action figure form. But then the accessories are adequate. When there is a fist included and then an open hand, it works for certain poses, but man, why not just add another fist and another open hand to make those pairs? Because Daredevil, he's into some punches. Or crouched on a rooftop, two relaxed hands hanging over his knee, maybe one on the ground or something. I also wish there was an alternate unmasked head. Now, I will admit that I do have quite a few Spider-Man No Way Home Matt Murdochs because that suit body is pretty good. So I have matte heads just laying around, but not everyone does that. Of course, that has the glasses. That's kind of weird to put on the costume body, like you just pull the helmet off and then glasses appear. I do see a lot of people commenting that the head looks bored, that the mouth should have a little more emotion. And I've seen the first two episodes, and there's a lot of... So I get that, but at the same time, I think for me, it's the wide open eyes. Just that surprised look like, huh? Ooh. Maybe it's because it's a digital sculpt, so there's no natural lighting to cast some shadows down on the eyes, make them... or something. I don't know. Maybe the mask looks like that. I may add some paint to the top of those just to... But between this only being a digital render and no box shown, this has to be part of a wave, right? And remember, I do not follow leaks. So if that's already been going around the mean streets, then I don't know. Hell, I can't even keep track of what's been shown, like when it comes to Hasbro's G.I.Joe Classified Series line. In my defense, G.I. Joe was never one of my main lines, even as a kid. I watched the cartoon, had a few figures. Since then, I just grab what I know, what I like, on top of the staggered way they reveal these things. There's name only, then digital, then physical, then pre-orders with promo pics. Don't get me wrong, that gives them something to talk about on a regular basis and does cut down on a lot of, well, I've already seen unpainted parts and pieces of this character from an overseas leak. Show us something new. It's very smart to get the name out there first because we know it's coming. Then we see the fist. And if there's a leak, hey, they already announced it. We can move on to the prototypes, the paint, the factory versions. None of that helps me keep track though. And it also doesn't help that I was way too busy talking to people on the other side of the room from the G.I. Joe display at the Hasbro event. And it wasn't until they were pushing us out for the next goings on, whatever was happening there, that I looked over and thought, hey, G.I. Joe, where'd that come from? Now, there were some pre-orders that went up this week. Breaker at Target, which I missed. That's going to be fun to come back around and try to grab. There was the Legacy Firefighter, looking awesome. Man, these pictures with the almost real flame in the back. Was that real flame? Was it digital? Was it something? I don't know. It looks great. There was the retro card collection of CoverGirl, Televiper, and Flint. If you were waiting for classic looks, these are for you. But then the absolutely gorgeous polar bear with snake eyes went up for pre-order too, and I grabbed that. Gimme! I need it. All those links are down below. But at Toy Fair, what caught my eye was, well, there were a few things. First, the claw looks a lot better than I thought it would. We saw the digital render, and I thought, well, okay, it's a metal hang glider. Sweet. But seeing it in person with some depth and everything, okay, this is the kind of thing to hang from the ceiling. I know a lot of people talk about that when it comes to G.I. Joe vehicles, but jets, and I think a lot of it gets hidden when it's up above. This is perfect because you see everything that you're supposed to see if you're looking at it from the bottom. But my eyes quickly drifted down to the snake armor, and oh man, is this a beast. There was some debate on how a figure, or if a figure, could fit into this, and yes, a figure does fit into the armor. It is a sitting position with a seat and controls, and the front all opens up. So it's not as huge as we might have thought, but it's still massive. That's the polar bear's ass sticking in down at the bottom there. So that gives you an idea. The last thing that caught my eye, I nearly missed, because Lenny, on the way out, he asked, hey, what are you excited about? And I'm like, oh man, that snake armor and the San Diego Cold Slither set. And he goes, did you see the box? Which was right in front of me. I was talking to him, and it was down here, and whoo, that looks... how am I going to get the box home? I usually discard the trash around my plastic at the hotel room and then stuff figures in my backpack because I only do carry-on. But I'm going to have to find a way, because it's a stage, along with all kinds of Easter eggs around it. Dang it. More important than all of that, though, pre-orders are open for Jada Toys Scooby-Doo Wave 1. That's right, it's finally happening. It's finally happening. Now, okay, we haven't been waiting that long when it comes to toy years. I think they debuted these last year at San Diego Comic-Con, so it's been 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10 months. But it feels like forever, because since I've seen these, it's been at the top of my list. I've just been waiting. I'm more hyped than I ever thought I would be. Don't get me wrong, I have wish-listed Scooby-Doo figures from several different companies over the years, but to actually see them perfectly represented in plastic form in the booth behind glass last year, gimme. We know the quality is there. We've messed with Jada Toys figures. We know the commitment is there. They showed the complete roster for Ultra Street Fighter 2 last year. All the pre-orders aren't out yet, but they're coming. So I gotta think the same thing when it comes to Scooby-Doo. Shaggy, the Creeper, and the Mummy are all available for pre-order right now. Link is in the description. Now my only question is, well, again, the theme of this episode, decisions must be made. Do I need 2 of each villain to display both fully costumed and then unmasked? Jada went through the trouble of sculpting heads for Mr. Carswell and Dr. Najib along with unmasking effects. You would be ashamed to throw those in a bin. You know it's going to happen. And that's all I have for this week. There's probably more. In fact, I think there is something, but I'm waiting for clarification on the Storm Collectibles, Storm Arena, Darkstalkers and stuff. I wanted to see closer pictures before getting into that. So next week. As always, special thanks to the Patreon, the No-Bots, who put up with my shit for being out of town and not being able to post much over the past week. Something else I saw at Toy Fair was the Loyal Subjects mask line, but I'm not going to keep up with the news on the Rewind. It's going to be one of those lines like the Mattel Masters of the Universe cartoon collection, where I collect it, maybe review it, maybe do it in a play day or something, but I'm not going to keep up with every tidbit of news. But man, I am kind of excited about seeing that. More for, again, the whole nostalgia tug of it. I don't think it's the original molds for the vehicles, but it's the same concept. It's the same look, just slightly tweaked in places. And then the figures are completely new sculpts to look more like the cartoon. So essentially what I wanted 40 years ago. Not that Little Robo was complaining about, this isn't cartoon accurate. Back then, it was just like, gimme, no. And then shooting the vehicles and everything. More than that, though, I never had Switchblade or Thunderhawk. So, coming back around for that? Okay. I still have some of my old ones in a box in there, and maybe we'll play day those, see how torn those up. They are very well played with. Also, if you wanted more news about the DC going back to Mattel, I don't know a lot. Like I said, I left Monday morning, and Vives' appointment was for Monday afternoon for Mattel. And again, nobody's going to say anything definitive. What you saw in the press release and people speculating and everything, that's exactly what it is, speculation. Maybe Todd will be able to hold on to a little bit of it, maybe do statues, something that Mattel doesn't want to do. Because my initial reaction was, okay, they're doing like Hasbro's done with their in-house brands, or Turtles, or some other properties we've seen, where they just farm out to different companies for different sizes, different Transformers. Just that seems like a good business move. That it's more money from different companies while having no risk to you. But I don't know. Mattel's Mattel. I kind of feel like they're going to want the whole thing. We'll see. We have a year. Go from there. But that's another year to have fun. And to enjoy what we got while we got it. So, as always, that's your mission this weekend and next weekend and the next month and the year. I'm just going to keep on enjoying it until I enjoy nothing. That's the way to do it. I'm going out happy. Not that I'm going out anytime soon. I know I say that a lot more, but that's only because I'm getting older. That's just something you think about. I'm still having way too much fun to go anywhere anytime soon. That's right. I defy age and death. I will play forever in the hallowed halls of toydom. I don't know where this is going. All right. Love you. Bye.